I'll start creating my new note-taking app by creating a brand new Android Studio project. I'll set the application name as Plain Ol' Notes. Notice that the name of the application has a special character, an apostrophe. That generates a folder name that also has an apostrophe, but I don't want that. Folder names shouldn't have spaces or other special characters. My company domain is set as example.com, and that generates a unique package name of com.example.plainoldnotes, and that's the package that I'll use throughout this course. When I create the application for deployment through the Google Play Store, though, I'll use a globally unique package name that's based on my organization's domain. I'll click Next, and I'll accept the recommended setting of the minimum SDK to API 15. That means that my app will run on Ice Cream Sandwich, Android 4, and all later versions of Android, including the most recent version, Lollipop. My app will have two activities or screens, and I'm going to base both of them on the blank activity template, the simplest template. This app won't use fragments, so it won't adapt automatically to, say, a tablet, but that'll simplify the coding model. On this screen, I'll accept the recommended names for the activity, the layout, and the menu resource. And I'll click Finish to create the project. When the project first opens in Android Studio, look at it in design mode, and you might see a rendering problems error displayed. If you see this happen in your copy of Android Studio, here's an easy fix. Go to the toolbar in the design screen and click the Theme button, which is set by default to App Theme. In the list on the left, choose Material Light, and then in the list on the right, choose Material.Light.Dark Action Bar, and click OK. And you should see the preview clean up. Here's what's happening. In the Resources Values folder, in Styles.xml, the style for the application is set to a name of App Theme, and because I said that my minimum SDK was something before Android 5 or Lollipop, my theme is set to a compatible theme, theme.appcompat.light.dark-action-bar. But if I look at the screen in design mode, I'm seeing a screen that's using Material Design. So Android Studio's design environment, and specifically this preview screen, hasn't caught up with the compatible version of the Material Design theme. By choosing this explicit Material Design theme, we're letting the preview screen render it correctly. But it won't affect anything about the final app. When you first create the project, you'll have a default launcher icon, and it looks like this. There are 4 versions of this PNG file, and they're all under the MipMap folder under Resources, but they're separated by their pixel density. There's one each for high density, medium, extra high, and extra extra high. You never want to use this default launcher icon, otherwise all apps would look the same. So I've provided a launcher icon graphic that we can use. And to incorporate into the project, I'll first go to the MipMap folder, then I'll right-click and choose New Image Asset. The asset type will be launcher icons, and I'll click to browse for the image file. I'll go to my desktop folder. That's where my exercise files are. And then I'll drill down into the exercise files, to the Assets folder, and then to Launcher icon, and I'll choose this file, iclauncher.png. The preview on the right updates immediately, and I can see previews of 4 different versions of the graphic. On more recent versions of Android Studio, you might see a 5th preview for XXX-HDPI. The resource name for the files I'm about to generate is set to the default of IC_launcher, and that will result in overriding the existing icons. I'll click Next, and I'll see previews of the files again. I'll also see that I'm going to be generating a file called iclauncherweb.png. That file won't be used in the app itself, but it'll be useful later on when I deploy to the Google Play Store. I'll click Finish, and that overwrites the existing icons, and I'll go over to the MipMap folder again, and I see that I now have 5 versions of the icon. I'll double-click on the highest density one for triple high-density pixels, and I see a very sharp image. Now I'm ready to run the app on my device. I'm testing right now on a virtual device. This virtual device emulates a Nexus 5 running API 22 or Android 5.1. I'll come back to Android Studio. I'll close down these PNG files. And then I'll run the app by clicking the Run button on the toolbar. The first time you run any new project, it'll take a few moments for everything to generate, and then Android Studio will ask you which device you want to run the app on. I'll choose my emulator that's already running. I'll select the option to use the same device for future launches, and I'll click OK. Then I'll switch over to the device and watch the app launch. After the app comes to the screen, I'll click on the back button. That'll take me back to the home screen. Then I'll click on the icon to show my application list. And there's my app with my custom launcher icon. I'll click and hold for a moment, and then drop the launcher icon onto the home screen, and now I can easily start up the app anytime I want to. So now my project has been created, and it has my custom launcher icon, and I'm ready to go on to the next step, applying some colors to the material design theme.